It had become evident that Mr. Walshe was suspecting his wife of having an affair. The oldest child's iPad begins to visit websites concerned how long does it take for a dead body to smell? How long does it take for someone to be missing to be declared dead? He is seen purchasing numerous items, including a Lennox high-tension hacksaw, 48 terry cloth towels, 200 disposable rags, trash bags. In the Swampscott dumpster, they found items, including a set of Volkswagen keys, Anna Walsh's COVID vaccination card. Also located in the dumpster, Your Honor, were rugs.
Just some of the evidence being detailed in the murder case against defendant Brian Walshe. Good Monday morning to you. Thanks for being with us here for Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. In this hour, we're taking you to Massachusetts for the latest developments in this case. The trial judge who's been presiding over this case has a question to resolve: whether she needs to recuse herself. We'll get into that in just a moment. Walshe is accused of murdering his wife, Anna, back in January of 2023. She was last seen on January 1st. Her body still hasn't been found. And on Friday's hearing, the court revealed she may have a conflict of interest. Let's take a listen.
It appears to me that there certainly could be an appearance of a conflict that I have vis-a-vis the Commonwealth's choice of attorney. That is, the Commonwealth has chosen attorney Michael Sullivan to represent them in connection with their dealings with the United States Attorney's Office. And that choice of an attorney is a mentor of mine and a friend of mine. And so it seems to me that although I have, as they say, searched my conscience to see whether I could make an objective decision, recognizing the nature of this decision in particular, I'm confident that I could be fair in any decision making. I also feel that it's appropriate to let the parties know that and for you to consult with your client. If in fact you prefer I not to resolve this issue relating to, we'll call it the federal material, as a result of the fact that the Commonwealth has chosen an attorney who I formerly worked closely with, then it seems to me that it might be best and most efficient for you to resolve this with Judge Krupp.
Okay, so a little bit from the judge there. So let's back up. How did we get here for the prosecution of this man? What's the timeline of events for Brian Walshe's case? Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson reports.
No comment from Brian Walshe after he was charged with the murder of his wife, Anna Walshe, the missing Massachusetts mother of 3 young boys. And while he's not talking, prosecutors are piecing together a timeline of what they say he was doing in the days after her disappearance. Prosecutors say that Anna Walshe was last seen here at her Cohasset home on New Year's Day. Anna was last seen at home between 4 and 5 a.m. by a family member. Walshe told police that he had slept in that morning, but prosecutors say that he was actually awake and searching disturbing topics on his son's iPad.
At 4:55 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body starts to smell.
The very next day, more Google searches.
There were also more Google searches on January 2nd. At 12:45 p.m., PAP saw best tool to dismember. At 1:10 p.m., can he be charged with murder without a body? At 1:14 p.m., can you identify a body with broken teeth?
Prosecutors say that on January 2nd, Walshe came here to this Home Depot store, located in Rockland, Massachusetts, 9 miles from his house. He spent $450 on cleaning supplies.
Items included cleaning products, mops, brushes.
On January 3rd, prosecutors say Walshe drove to an apartment complex in Abington, 16 miles from his home. where they say surveillance video shows him hoisting a heavy garbage bag into a dumpster. At 4:48 p.m., prosecutors say Walshe drove to a second apartment complex in Abington. And at 5:10 p.m., investigators say he threw items away into a dumpster in Brockton. Then on January 6th and 7th, police searched the Walshe property in Cohasset. Prosecutors collected a lot of evidence in the basement of this home, including DNA blood evidence and 2 knives. On January 8th, Walshe was arrested for misleading police in his wife's missing person investigation. The next day, he was arraigned and pled not guilty. Then on January 17th, prosecutors announced that he would be charged with her murder. The next day, he was back in court.
The defendant is now before the court charged with murder of his wife, Anna Walshe, as well as disinterring of a body.
Matt Johnson reporting there, and we have Matt Johnson in the studio with us this morning to do this deep dive into the case. Good morning to you, Matt.
Hi, good morning.
Lots to talk about with this guy. My gosh, as you know.
Right.
Where do we begin? We've got lots of evidence pointing to his guilt. We know this guy's cloaked in the presumption of innocence, maintaining his innocence. Tell us what was brought in by investigators to build this case against him and what made them ultimately charge him with the killing of Anna.
Well, he didn't even report her missing right away. So this goes as a cold case, a missing persons case. They searched the home in Cohasset. It's a big, huge, sprawling mansion that I believe she was paying for. And then they obtain all of those iPads that belong to the children. And wouldn't you know it, there are some incriminating searches, according to prosecutors, on these iPads.
Yes.
And I'm going to read them because...
We have them. We can put them up too as you're reading them.
Great, yeah, because follow along, because these are something else. So he searches for the dismemberment and ways to dispose of a body, how long before a body starts to smell, is hacksaw the best tool to dismember? And also, he allegedly had cleaned up part of the basement because they found trace evidence of blood in the basement, along with a cutting tool with some, what appeared to be, we're waiting for the DNA on it, appeared to be some human flesh or
Tissue,
DNA, tissue.
Yeah.
But that's just the beginning of the mountain of evidence that ultimately prosecutors have to work with here, because then there was also the traveling around town, going to various locations, throwing away trash. Remember, her body was never found. And then purchasing large amounts of cleaning products within the days that she's missing.
Right. You add all these things up, the searches, the purchases, things disposed of in various trash facility, receptacles. My thought is that perhaps there was a dismemberment and the scattering of her body around the city. Matt, do you know if investigators have confirmed this theory?
I think that that's what we're going to see at trial. And that's the theory that they were putting forth when they were writing a lot of the pretrial motions leading up to where we are today. And in these hearings, talking about all of the places that he went, he purchased trash bags, he purchased all of these other items, and then he's caught on surveillance camera, as far as we know, at various spots near these dumpsters. But no body has been recovered as far as we know, and it's terrible for the family involved in all of this. But I think that that's where we're going with this ultimately. Yeah. And then there's the other searches too. I mean, and I know that we're going to talk about it, but the alleged affair and searching for the lover's name in a Google search. And then, wouldn't you know it, there's a $2.7 million life insurance policy. Who's the beneficiary, do you think?
Oh, my one guess would be Brian Walshe, am I right?
Ding, ding, ding. Certainly is.
Boy, this guy's something else.
Yeah.
He is something else. And, and I would love to talk with you about potential motivations here. Could it be multiple motives at play?
This guy has a criminal history already. You know, he had federal cases he pled guilty to already with an art fraud scheme. Fake Andy Warhols that he was allegedly selling as real. He settled that case. He was sentenced to 43 months plus restitution, more than nearly $500,000. That's just one of his background, horrible cases that he's facing. But, so prosecutors are now surmising the possibility that maybe if his wife was missing, she couldn't testify, that it would help in that case that he was facing at the time.
The federal art fraud case.
But there was also another case that's lesser talked about and lesser known,
What's that
where
one
he
about?
frauded family. And he was sued by a family estate, I believe, something to do with money and not repayment with the father.
You're right. That one is far less reported.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So he's got multiple legal problems. So one theory could be she wouldn't be able to testify if she were deceased. If he killed her, we don't know. And then the other theory, was he jealous? Was there an extramarital affair happening that sent him over the edge and prompted him to do this? Matt Johnson.
And some people are looking into it also, because maybe he wanted to keep custody of the children because he wanted to use that at a possible sentencing for federal charges, saying, I am the sole provider, I am the one taking care of these kids. So if he got the idea that maybe perhaps she was going to divorce him, then, he wanted to keep her from having the kids. This is one of the theories that are being floated out there.
Sure.